And then there were two. We are down to the national championship. Ohio State, Notre Dame, January 20th in Atlanta. Fighting Irish, chasing their 12th national championship, first since 1988. The Buckeyes, chasing their 9th national championship, first since 2014. They won the Natty in the first year of the CFP when it was 4 teams. Now looking to win the Natty in the first year of the 12-team playoff. Notre Dame, Ohio State, two of the biggest brands in all of sports, going toe-to-toe for the national championship. Back here in studio, 2-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and former Ohio State running back Beanie Wells. As you take a look at these two teams, B-Mac, this is a heavyweight matchup.
Yes, it is.
And there's a lot of similarities between these teams, so let me set it up a little bit. First, Marcus Freeman went to Ohio State. Number 2, 2 great defenses. Notre Dame, 32 takeaways, most in FBS. Ohio State, 12 points per game this season allowed, fewest in FBS. 16 sacks. This postseason for Ohio State. So you being the defensive guy, this is another something's got to give matchup.
No question. And you talk about the defenses, right? For Notre Dame, they had some issues in protecting their quarterback Riley Leonard in the Orange Bowl. Abdul Carter, a top 10 selection, had his way with one healthy shoulder. Now when you look at what Ohio State have with Jack and JT, 2 dominant edge rushers that will be draft picks as well. So can they protect Riley Leonard? Because we saw moments in the Orange Bowl, you know, it was difficult. But it was difficult with one dominant guy. Ohio State, they have 2. Also, in terms of the passing game, you know Riley Leonard will become a +1 in the running game. That's what he does. Their offense is better when he's doing so. But can he make the routine plays happen routinely in the passing area? In the first half, we didn't see any of that against Penn State. He woke up. But in terms of playing a team like Ohio State, you have to put together 4 quarters of high-level play if you expect to beat them. Because the thing about Notre Dame in this matchup, Beanie, Hakeem, they're getting a fired-up Ohio State team. Because Ohio State won, but it was ugly. And these are the type of games, even though you won, it kind of feels like a loss because you were sloppy.
Notre Dame had to rally. I'm going to remind you that.
They had to rally. Okay. But now when you look at waking up that dragon, the last time the dragon was woke when they lost to Michigan. Since then, taking care of their business easily. They took care of their business tonight, but you talk about having 9 penalties. Hakeem, you said that's the most penalties they've ever had this entire season.
Correct.
So now when you get back to the drawing board and get back to the basics, you get back dialed in and recalibrate everything within the program, you go toe-to-toe with Notre Dame with a sense of urgency in terms of the mental and the physical. So I can't wait to see, because I'm a defender. I love seeing 2 high-level defenses go toe-to-toe, and that's what we will see in Atlanta.
Riley Leonard, Will Howard. Will Howard, advantage arm. Riley Leonard, advantage legs. Running backs, Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love. Quinshon Judkins, Travion Smith. I'd say advantage Ohio State.
Facts.
Receivers, advantage Ohio State.
Facts.
Beanie, so across the board, already offensively, you have the edge if you're the Buckeyes.
To be not just versus Notre Dame, but a lot of teams in the country. You know, we know the talent that Ohio State possesses. It's about bringing it all together in a cohesive manner to where you can strike and strike fast from an offensive standpoint. I think this matchup, most certainly for Notre Dame, is going to have to be won in the trenches if they're going to have a chance. Getting Riley Leonard going, getting their run game going. We understand that that's their way. That's their bread and butter on the offensive end. They have a phenomenal defense, forces so many turnovers. I said last night, Marcus Freeman was my teammate. We played under the great Jim Tressel. Marcus Freeman wheeled his football team to getting into a national title game by playing Jim Tressel-style football. That's having a strong running game, having a great defense, and playing superior special teams. So that's an area that you certainly have to worry about when you look at Notre Dame, is their special teams. Last night we saw them flip the field with the punt. One of Jim Tressel's favorite plays in football is the punt. So Marcus Freeman, he's learned from that Jim Tressel lineage, from that Luke Fickell lineage, and he's done a masterful job with this football team. He's going to have these guys prepared, but I most certainly think Ohio State has the edge from a talent perspective.
Beanie, having played with Marcus Freeman and knowing him as a teammate and being coached by Jim Tressel, and you certainly were a phenomenal player in your own right there. When you look at Marcus Freeman and what he created in South Bend, the culture and the way that he has changed the narrative there after Brian Kelly left, when you look at what he has become a superstar in terms of coaching. But what is it about him that impresses you so much, your former teammate?
Well, one, Marcus is a guy that's relatable. He's just a hard-working, hard-nosed, not just football coach, because he was this way as a football player, but just a person that does everything the right way. And he is a leader. He's always been. That's one of the, one characteristics that I look at with Marcus and that I can see, trickling down to his football team is the way that he leads men. He's been that way in the locker room as a teammate. You can see it as a coach. He has his guys motivated. He puts them in the right position to make plays. And let's not forget, when you're at Notre Dame, it's going to be hard to go out and recruit a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys from the simple fact that everybody can't get admitted into Notre Dame because of the such prestige that they have from an educational standpoint and educational standards. So for him to have his football team in his position, knowing his back is often against the wall in terms of recruiting, is masterful. And that just speaks to the caliber of coach that he is and the person that he is to be able to get guys motivated and get guys able to play to a certain standard to where they can be in a national championship.
They've won 13 in a row, Notre Dame has, since that embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois. And both of these teams, perhaps a blessing in disguise, as you pointed out to me, the day that Ohio State lost to Michigan. Perhaps it's a blessing in disguise. Both teams have similar narratives. Embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois. Embarrassing loss to Michigan a year you should have beat them. These are two teams is almost like a revenge tour here, right? You got Marcus Freeman trying to win his first national championship. Ryan Day trying to win his first national championship. Both of these guys, they're coaches, they're players' coaches. They don't yell on the sideline. They pull guys aside. But in terms of coaching edge, when you look at this,
wow,
this is going to be close. But if you're talking about giving an advantage to one side, who would you make the case for?
You know what? In terms of a side, not an individual, I would give the advantage to Ryan Day and his staff because he has head coaching experience. Surrounding him. And the same
Marcus Freeman has Al Golden.
Al Golden as well.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Chip Kelly has done, in the college ranks, being in the NFL as well, multiple stops. And of course, coming from UCLA where he was the head coach and then coming back down to be a coordinator. That means a lot when you look at the outstanding talent they have on either side of the football field. So I side with Ohio State because Ryan Day has assembled a heck of a staff with head coaching experience, a bunch of individuals that have been around ball for quite some time, and they know how to coach at a high level. Not saying that Notre Dame, their staff does not, but just the head coaching experience along with the NFL experience, that means something.
Ohio State plus 59, by the way, in point differential here, Beanie, which I think is really important when you talk about the separation that they've had. And you talked about the coaching there, Chip Kelly being able to go into his bag and make plays at the right time and make the right play calls. Beanie, I want you to weigh in here as well with the coaching matchup.
When I look at the coaching matchup, you can most certainly say you lean towards Ryan Day because all the coaching experience that he has and the head coaching experience that he has around him. But I have to go back and look at what Marcus Freeman has done with less. He's doing more with less talented guys at Notre Dame. And not to say that Notre Dame, they're not playing with chopped liver by any means, but in terms of going out and getting the 4- and 5-star guys on a consistent basis, they're not able to do that. They don't necessarily have the NIL dollars that these other programs have, like Ohio State. I don't believe so. And, when you look at that and the fact that they're sitting here in position to be in a national title game, I'd have to lean there. I have to lean more so on the Notre Dame side as far as a coaching standpoint and giving them the edge. Because when you are able to get guys rallied around, get him in position to win tough matchups. Let's not forget, they won some tough games in the early part of the season, going out and taking out Texas A&M, who, a lot of people thought would be one of the teams in this college football playoff down the stretch. So I have to give them the edge there because they've done masterful things. In my opinion, they're doing more with less.
Ohio State, a 9.5-point favorite, the national championship over Notre Dame. You laying 9.5 with the Buckeyes. You believe in the Buckeyes.
There's nothing to think about for me. No question. In terms of talent, let's look at it like this. If both teams played their best game, who wins?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, right? If both teams play their best game for 4 quarters, who wins? Ohio State. because they have better players. They have more NFL prospects. They're the healthier team. Don't forget that Notre Dame, they have exceeded the expectations. To your point, Beanie, doing more with less, but they've missing like 4 guys, if I'm not mistaken, on the defensive side. And, of course, they've been still able to find a way to win. You look at what Ohio State has, and I'm telling you, even though they won by double digits, this was an eye-opening experience for them because they were sloppy, they were undisciplined, so many mental errors. What happens if they clean that area of their game up? So I got to go with Ohio State laying this 9.5. And also, too, how many times do we expect to see Jeremiah Smith with only 1 reception for 3 yards?
Not again.
That's why I'm going with you, B-Mac, because I can't expect that again. I mean, this was a great game plan from a Texas standpoint and solidifying a way to slow down Jeremiah Smith in the past game of Ohio State. I can't see that happening in back-to-back weeks. And like you said, Ohio State did not play a clean football game by any stretch of imagination. They're going to want to come out and hit on all cylinders on the offensive end and on the defensive side. I mean, let's not forget there were some gashes, there were some lanes to where, Quinn Ewers were able to hit his running back several different times. So they're going to want to shore up those issues going into next week. So I got to go with Ohio State. They're going to be at their best, probably trying to play, not trying, they're going to play their best football game in this championship matchup. So most certainly, I'll take that 9.5.
Ohio State and Notre Dame clashing for the national championship January 20th in Atlanta. Keep this in mind for what it's worth. Notre Dame was also a 9.5-point underdog in the last national championship appearance. They lost by 28 to Alabama as a 9.5-point underdog in the national championship. That was Brian Kelly. This is Marcus Freeman. This is Ryan Day. What will happen in 10 days from now when we crown a champion in Atlanta?